Okay, good evening, everyone. My name is Uzaifa Muhammad. I'm the Government Affairs Intern for the CARE office in Maryland. Welcome to 2022 Maryland Muslim Lobby Day on Zoom. I will be moderating along with my co-moderator, Ruqayya Dusty.
Hello, everyone. My name is Ruqayya Dusty. Again, thank you so much for coming to Muslim Lobby Day today. I will start off our program with a Quranic recitation by Taha Khan from Howard County, Maryland. Please give him a moment.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. يا أيها الذين آمنوا كونوا قوامين بالقسط شهداء لله ولو على أنفسكم أو الوالدين والأقربين إن يكن غنيا أو فقيرا فالله أولى بهما فلا تتبعوا الهوى أن تعدلوا وإن تلووا أو تعرضوا فإن الله كان بما تعملون خبيرا. O believers, stand firm for justice as witnesses for Allah, even if it is against yourselves, your parents, or close relatives, be they rich or poor. Allah is best to ensure their interests, so do not let your desires cause you to deviate from justice. If you distort the testimony or refuse to give it, then know that Allah is certainly all aware of what you do.
Thank you, Brother Taha. Next, we want to get to know a little bit more about you. So feel free to introduce yourself in the chat, your name, what county or city you live in, and who your representatives are in Annapolis. So take a moment to do that.
Assalamu alaikum, Ijaz Hussain. Please introduce yourselves.
Don't be shy.
And if you are not sure who your representatives are in Annapolis, inshallah, or hopefully throughout the program, we can help you figure that out and understand who is representing you, what district you're from, and what are some of the legislation that those who represent you are sponsoring and advocating for. So good evening to everyone.
Can we go across the panel members, please, everybody? My name is Rizwan Siddiqui. I'm the chair of the United Maryland Muslim Council.
Oh, I think we'll introduce the panelists, inshallah, right after our sponsors.
Yes, we will get to that.
So our sponsors for the program today, we have CARE. CARE is America's largest Muslim civil rights and advocacy organization. Its mission is to enhance understanding of Islam, protect civil rights, promote justice, and empower American Muslims. We also have with us today the Muslim Voices Coalition. This is a grassroots coalition of individuals and organizations formed to address the concerns and amplify the voices of American Muslims in America. The United States Muslim Council is also with us today. They are a community organization dedicated to promoting interest and involvement of Muslims in the state of Maryland. UMMC is committed to supporting, sponsoring, and participating in activities of common interest of Muslims and citizens of Maryland. And they're joined together with Prince George's County Muslim Council, Howard County Muslim Council, Montgomery County Muslim Council, Frederick County Muslim Council, and the Greater Baltimore Muslim Council. So thank you so much for sponsoring us and joining us today. We'd also like to thank Zainab Chaudhry, Director of CARE in the Maryland office. For
Zainab, I think you skipped a slide by accident.
Are we able to reverse that?
There we go.
We would like to start off first by introducing Dr. Shahiq Rafiq, the president from the United Maryland Muslim Council. Jazakallah khair, if you would like to give a few words.
Assalamu alaikum and good evening. Thank you for inviting me. United Maryland Muslim Council welcomes all state representatives, delegates and senators, guests and community members for this important event. We appreciate the collaboration of all the fellow Muslim organizations across the state to make this program very successful. Over the past 18 years, UMMC has collaborated with Muslims councils to engage our community in the mainstream political issues. We are humbled and thank our Almighty Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that we see that fruit that over 60 state representatives RSVP to our invitation for this lobby day. And the great number of community members also are joining us here today. All this would not have been possible without the great efforts by the community at large in the state, as well as in particular, all our board members of United Maryland Muslim Council and our board chair, Mr. Rizwan Siddiqui is here today with us in the panel. UMMC thanks all the participants and the representative and requests the community members to please keep it up and invite more and more community members to join our efforts so that we can make a difference and support the causes that are close to our heart and impact our daily life. Thank you. Assalamu alaikum.
Next, we have Zainab Chaudhry, Director of the CARE Office in Maryland, to give her remarks. Zainab, you have the floor.
Good evening, everyone. Assalamu alaikum. It's a pleasure to welcome all of you to this year's Virtual Muslim Lobby Day. We're so excited to have all of you here today. Thank you so much for bearing with us through the technical difficulties. It sounds like there's some people who are joining us as attendees and they're panelists, so we will be promoting you shortly. On behalf of CARE's office in Maryland, I would like to personally thank and acknowledge our partner organizations, as well as our elected representatives, and of course, all of you, the audience, the Muslim community, who are participating and also watching us live for helping to make this event possible. It's no secret that lobbying plays a huge role in urging our lawmakers to take action on policies and issues that impact and interest our communities on many different levels. Our elected officials pass hundreds of bills into law across our state in each session, and lobbying is a very critical way that helps to influence and shape those laws. The First Amendment upholds Americans' right to lobby as the right to petition the government for a redress of grievances. It is an important part of the productive government, not the least because it acts as an educational tool. The way extraordinary change happens is when ordinary people become involved in the political process. Our strength is in our numbers. There's tremendous power in collective voices that unify to move a specific issue forward. And we have seen that on a wide range of issues that we have partnered with our coalition partners on various issues to move the needle forward, whether it be police reform, immigration reform, hate crimes, a whole host of other issues. Each year, thousands of bills are introduced in the Maryland General Assembly. And while CARE is offering testimony on a wide range of bills again this session, today we're going to be sharing some highlights of some of the bills that are on the top of our legislative agenda. Among these is House Bill 515, as Brother Nahad, the National Executive Director, will mention a little bit later. I'd like to personally thank especially Delegate Jessica Feldmark for working hard with our team to introduce this historic Inclusive Athletic Attire Act, so that no student who wears either the hijab or any article of faith ever has to choose between their faith or their passion for sports. Tonight, I encourage you, our audience, our community members, to take notes, to join us in the political process. Make sure that you are making your voices be heard. Write the emails, make the phone calls, connect with your state representatives, let them know who you are, and make sure that they know where you stand on issues that impact you and your families. The legislative facts of the bills that we're going to be sharing later on are going to be emailed to all of the registered participants. If you don't receive it, you can email us at mdoutreach@care.com, and we will be sure to have someone forward it along to you. We are so proud to have you here alongside with us as we harness our collective voices, as we build political power, and we work for a lasting transformative state change in our state for justice and equity for all. Thank you.
Thank you, Zainab. Next, we have Ilhan Kadri, co-founder of the Muslim Voices Coalition, to give a few words.
Assalamu alaikum to my brothers and sisters of faith, and peace to everyone else who's not Muslim. And all of us are one piece in this world. So I don't mind saying peace unto everybody here. Good evening. And thank you to the delegates and the representatives who are here tonight. As the introducer said, I am one of the co-founders along with Tasnuva Khan, who's a very active person in Montgomery County, a founder of Muslim Voices Coalition. And this coalition came about as a result of the fact that young Muslim youth were surveilled in Montgomery County from 2014 to 2016 by the SRO program, by the police in the schools and by the counselors and by the social workers. And obviously it was a failed program. It was based on, completely fallacious principles, but it really, in addition to violating the human rights of the citizens of Montgomery County, it also created a great deal of mistrust in Montgomery County, distrust of the Muslim community, of social workers, of mental health workers, of police, of each other. And so we're still recovering from that. So we want to make sure that, that surveillance does not exist ever again in our county and in our state. But in addition to that, Muslim Voices Coalition is part of the Silver Spring Justice Coalition. And that was established in Silver Spring about 2.5 years ago when my neighbor, Mr. Robert White, was shot and killed by a police officer when he was taking a walk in his own neighborhood in broad daylight. That police officer is still on the force, and he was found not culpable for any crimes. And since that time, in the past 2.5 years, there's been another 8 people killed, Black men killed in our county by police officers. And this is something that we need to worry about. So I've been involved in that both at the county level and at the state level. And I can tell you last year, so I just want to bring up the voices of, what is accomplished by people who actually advocate in the county. And I'm directing this to the participants. It's so important to participate because last year the priorities were several acts that actually got passed. So the Maryland Police Accountability Act on police discipline was passed. Anton's Law was passed. I can talk about these. The body-worn cameras and use of force limits was passed. Transferring control of Baltimore City Police back to Baltimore City was passed. This year, we're still working on trying to think that something that didn't pass, which is removing police from schools. And we're also working on Kwamina's Law, which is there was a young man, Kwamina Okran, that was killed in Gaithersburg by Gaithersburg police. And we want to make sure the police were off-duty, well, they were ununiformed, non-uniformed police officers and did not wear body-worn cameras. So there's no way to know except for witnesses of what actually happened. Now, the people here will be, I just want to make sure everybody understands that we as Muslims, we're at the intersection of people of color, of immigrants, of all of these different sort of groups, vulnerable groups that really suffer at the hands of bad policing. And so we want to make sure that in addition to the fact that Islam requires that we have justice in this state and in our counties for everyone, it does impact the Muslim community directly. So I'm going to stop now, but later on, maybe I'll have a chance to talk more about these bills. Thank you.
Next, we have Brother Nihad Awad, the National Executive Director of CARE, Council on American Islamic Relations. Welcome, Brother Nihad. You're muted.
After 2 years, you would think that the mute unmute button will work for everyone. So, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, in the name of God, the compassionate, the merciful. Assalamu alaikum Peace be to you all. So proud and so honored to be with you today. What you are doing today is something that warms my heart to see young people, to see engaged community member with their lawmakers in the state of Maryland. This dream that I have been witnessing now is really the promise that America is waiting for the new generation to make sure that America is on the right track. Brothers and sisters and respected guests, I know that you will discuss the what. The what is specific, is technical, and I applaud you for being specific and being diligent. But I also remind myself and remind all of you, why are we doing this? Why are we doing this? Why does it matter? It matters because we are all human beings, and as Muslims, as believers in God, we are reminded that we all humans come from Adam and Eve, and we are all equal in the same platform. We are equal in the sight of God, and we should be treated equally, and we should treat other people equally. So it is really a matter of faith for us. It is a matter of not just convenience that we take an issue that bothers us, promoting justice, standing for equality and freedom for all. It's really the cornerstone of what makes you a believer, what makes you a Muslim. And we would like our guests to know, and our lawmakers, that justice and equality and diversity is part of our faith as Muslims. So when one person, one community is under attack because of who they are, we envision it and we see it as an attack on all of us, and therefore we have to correct it. And now the best way to correct it is to legislate against it, is to advocate against it, is to make sure that we have the safeguards and that we go far enough to prevent the hate crimes, the discrimination that befalls other people not happen before our eyes. We know that anti-Black racism has been with us for hundreds of years. And when you see Black American brothers and sisters being shot by the police, whether in Baltimore and other places in Maryland, or other community members from the Sikh community, the Jewish community, or the Muslim community, that means our job has not been done. And lawmakers can do more, can be more aggressive, and they can have more decisive legislative agenda. So your voices, brothers and sisters, are so important to make sure that our communities, all of them, are safe, that immigrants are welcome, whether they come from impoverished countries or from torn-worn countries, they're welcome, and they are our brothers and sisters in humanity. When you see Asian Americans being attacked, no matter who attacks them, we should see it as an attack on all of us, and we should stand up for them. And we don't have, as brothers and sisters in the Muslim community, we should not only advocate for members of our Muslim community. Every brother and sister in the society is my brother and your brother, is your sister and my sister. So please keep that in mind, that advocacy for justice is part of our faith. And to have a legislative agenda and priorities in the state of Maryland is something that I'm so proud of. I wish you the best of luck. And inshallah, when the pandemic is over, I'd love to join you in one of these sessions. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Brother Nihad Awad. So before we go into the legislation and the bills that we kind of want to talk about today, why don't we learn a little bit more about the Maryland General Assembly and what it is? So the Maryland General Assembly meets for 90 days each year from January to April, and they have a lot of purposes. One of them is to act on bills. Another is to pass the state's annual budget. And it's also to oversee state government agencies, but also it does much, much more. The MGA is divided into 47 legislative districts. This is different from the federal districts that we know of. And each district is represented by one state senator and 3 state delegates. Some districts include only one county, while some have many. The Maryland General Assembly is a bicameral body with 2 chambers. So we have a Senate and we have a House of Delegates. The Senate has 47 members and the House of Delegates has 141. Each member is elected for a term of 4 years. And throughout the Maryland General Assembly session, 2,000 to 3,000 bills are introduced to each session, all with a variety of different things that they're advocating for, all for Maryland constituents in the state.
So next, what we want to do is we want you to know which district you live in and who your state senators and delegates are. So open your browser window and type in this URL, mdelect.net. After you go there, enter in your home address and locate your representatives. Once you do that, drop your district in the chat and make sure to make a note of your district and the names of your legislators because you will probably hear from them later during the event. Take a moment to do that.
Dewan Kazmi says he is from District 2B.
So I am in District 9A. My state senator is Senator Hester, and my delegates are Delegate Kittleman and Delegate Novotny. So we're going to move on, but if anyone is still doing that, feel free to, because you will hear from lawmakers later in the event.
So this legislative session, the Maryland General Assembly, the Muslim Lobby Day, wanted to advocate for several legislative priorities, some focus areas. So we are pushing for inclusive sports uniforms. This is very important and something that I think Zainab Chaudhry talked about, that we will learn more about in the following slides. We also are advocating for an expansion of voting rights and election protections, things that we feel like are in danger now in this environment. We also have a range of reforms that we're pushing for, including juvenile justice reform, criminal justice reform, immigration reform, and also expanding school curriculum. So this not only impacts the Muslim community, but people of color, underrepresented communities, and minority communities in Maryland. So these legislative priorities are shown in these 8 bills that we will be talking about today. Note that these bills are not the only ones that we want people to know about. These aren't the only ones that we want delegates and senators to be in favor of, but they are a start and they will address some of our focus areas and the legislative priorities that we have in 2022.
So starting off, we have House Bill 515, the Inclusive Athletic Attire Act. So what this does is it requires county boards of education across Maryland and the Maryland Public Secondary Schools Athletic Association and other governing bodies of higher education, the Board of Community College Trustees, to allow student athletes to modify team or athletic uniforms to make the attire more modest in order to conform to the specific requirements or their own preferences of the students, the student athletes, religion, or culture. It also authorizes a modification to an athletic uniform to include the wearing of a head covering worn for religious reasons, an undershirt, or a leggings. One of the reasons to support this is that a religion should never be a reason to stop students from participating in sports that they love. This bill additionally upholds the constitutionally protected right to religious freedom for athletes who come from diverse faiths, races, ethnicities, and background. Additionally, it codifies into state law the right for secondary school, community colleges, and university athletes and public institutions to wear clothing or head coverings that are worn for religious reasons without requiring prior approval. Next, we have Senate Bill 53, House Bill 269, Juvenile Law, the Juvenile Interrogation Protection Act. This is sponsored by Senator Joe Carter and Delegate Sandy Bartlett. So this requires a law enforcement officer who takes the child into custody, interrogates the child, or charges the child with a criminal violation to provide a notice to the child's parent, guardian, or custodian, and requires a notice to include the child's location, the reason for detainment, and how to make in-person contact. Lastly, this prohibits the interrogation of a child by a law enforcement officer until the child has had a chance to consult with an attorney. One reason to support this is that children are less likely than adults to be able to understand the complexities that come with submitting legal questioning to the police. And children are also less likely than adults to make false confessions due to fear and intimidation. And lastly, due process for children in Maryland should be protected.
The next bill that we're advocating for and I want people to know about this session is SB 165, HB 294. This is a Juvenile Court Act and automatic charging of youth in adult court. So this would be altering the jurisdiction of the juvenile court by repealing provisions specifying that the juvenile court does not have jurisdiction over a youth alleged to have committed certain crimes. Judges in juvenile courts can still rule for youth to be charged in adult court. So the reason why we were pushing for this bill and the reasons for people to support it is because Maryland is currently ranked one of the harshest in the country when it comes to prosecuting crimes committed by children and teens under the age of 18. Over the last 15 years, 26 states have amended their laws on the automatic transfer of juveniles to adult courts after extensive research that reveals that there's harmful consequences of policies that put children into adult court systems. Maryland is a state that should join that list. Treating children as adults does not improve public safety. It does not keep our state safe, especially not in the long run. And excessive punitive measures that interfere with children's ability to mature and grow in a healthy way is not good.
Next, we have Senate Bill 151, Hate Crimes, False Statement to a Law Enforcement Officer, sponsored by Senator Joe Carter. So this clarifies that making a certain false statement to a law enforcement officer may form the basis for a certain hate crime if it is proven that the statement was prompted by racial, religious, or other forms of bias. One of the reasons to support this is that minority community members have reported that they felt that their race or religion has been weaponized by individuals who carry certain bias towards them. Some have changed their behavior or the way they appear in public. One family even formed care that they moved out of their predominantly white neighborhood for fear of being targeted. Additionally, the function of law enforcement agencies is to protect and serve, and this bill makes sure that it's used appropriately for this purpose and not exploited by people who may feel entitled to make the police complicit in their own bias. Lastly, 911 calls that are needless in non-emergency situations are a waste of resources and tax dollars, and also endanger the lives of communities of color who are directly and disproportionately impacted by them.
So the next bill is HB 284, HB 201, which is sponsored by Senator Mary Washington and Delegate Ariana Kelly. This is an election law, voter registration drive, high schools. So this requires each local board of elections to conduct a voter registration drive at least once each school year in each public high school in the county in a matter specific in an agreement between the local school board, the local board and the county board of education. And it requires that each public official responsible for the use of a public high school to make available to the local board of elections without charge the space that is needed in the building for the proper conduct of a voter registration drive. So the reason why we're pushing for this bill and we want people to support it is because voting is a constitutionally protected right, and it's essential to the well-functioning, the functioning of a democracy. And expands access to voting by holding voter registration drives. This is crucial to amplifying the voices of constituents and enabling for them to exercise the freedom of expression, how they're governed and by whom.
Next, we have Senate Bill 462, House Bill 47, Expanded American History, Development of Content Standards and Implementation. The sponsor for this bill is Senator Susan Lee and Delegate C.T. Wilson. This requires the State Board of Education by December 1st, 2022 to develop content standards for expanding American history, requiring each county board of education in collaboration with the local school system to develop and implement certain curriculum guidelines for teaching expanded American history. And it also requires each public school by the 23 and 24 school year to include expanded American history, specifically in the social studies curriculum. It also requires the State Department of Education and the State Board to jointly analyze certain content standards. The reason to support this bill is it would expand the literacy and comprehension for students of the history and contributions of women, African American, American Indians, Asian Americans, Pacific Islanders, Hispanic Americans, and other groups that have been underrepresented in public school curriculums in the past.
The next bill that we're advocating for is SB 129 and HB 114. This is sponsored by Senator Kelly Hedelman and Delegate Nicole Williams. This is the Access to Counsel in Immigration Proceedings program. This establishes the Access to Counsel in American Proceedings program administered by the Maryland Legal Services Corporation to provide access to legal representation for certain covered individuals detained in the United States in certain covered jurisdictional, judicial or administrative immigration proceedings where an individual is subject to removal from the United States, and establishes the Access to Counsel in Immigration Proceedings Special Fund to provide funding to implement access to legal representation in immigration proceedings. So the reason why we're pushing for this bill is because oftentimes detainees do not understand the complex intricacies of our justice system. Their judgment and ability to articulate their circumstances can be inhibited by their language, by their cultural barriers, the fact that they're under a lot of stress, fear, and the circumstances around them. So this bill will make sure that detained people can speak with a lawyer that is familiar with the case, with their own case regardless of their personal circumstances. As we know, people in ICE detention facilities are also human beings, and they face difficult circumstances and they deserve due process. This bill aims to educate minorities who have been directly affected by detention. This bill aims to educate minorities who have been directly affected by detention on their legal rights.
Next, we have Senate Bill 163, Processing and Reporting Procedures, sponsored by Senator Nancy Kagan. So what this does is alters the procedures for canvassing and curing of errors on absentee and provisional ballots. It requires that all election results be reported by precinct, including reports of early, absentee, and the provisional vote. It also makes certain changes to state election law relating to one, the start of absentee ballot processing during an election, a voter's ability to correct a failure to sign the oath on an absentee ballot envelope, and 3 instances where a local board of election receives more than one absentee ballot from the same individual, or receives both an absentee ballot and a provisional ballot from the same individual, and 4, the reporting of election results by precinct. Some reasons to support this is that Maryland law does not yet allow the local board of elections to process ballots before election day, and this would greatly reduce the delays in the reporting of election results. Additionally, precinct level reporting helps identify any errors, frauds, or voter suppression in election results. And lastly, in the 2020 general election, over 60% of voters cast absentee or mail-in ballots. And so this legislation provides much clearer guidelines for counting a ballot if a voter submits mail-in and provisional ballots. Lastly, we have House Bill 542, Diversity Among Asset Managers Act of 2022. This bill made it into the program a bit late. The sponsor for this is Delegate Jazz Lewis. So this bill would direct the Investment Committee of the State Retirement Agency to attempt to use to the greatest extent feasible minority business enterprises to provide brokerage and investment management services to the board.
Thank you so much for listening to us about these bills. I hope people get more familiar with these bills and others that are advocating for, juvenile justice reform, immigration reform, and things that will help not just our community but other communities in Maryland. And we also advocate for lawmakers and the senators and delegates today to vote in favor of all of these bills. And we'd love to hear from them in now our second part of the program.
Yes, I'd like to introduce Brother Asif Hussain, President of the Montgomery County Muslim Council. He's going to be leading us through the next part of the program where we're going to be hearing from all the lawmakers that have joined us. Welcome, Asif.
Thank you, Huzaifa and Ruqayya. Assalamu alaikum. Good evening to everyone. I appreciate everyone making time on a busy Tuesday evening to join us. Really pleased to see Huzaifa and Ruqayya lead the first half of our program. It's always great to have our youth come through and represent. As we all know, our next generation is always going to be our strongest generation. So I'm glad to see both of them taking part in today's activities. I'd also like to take an opportunity to once again thank all of our Maryland legislative representatives who have joined us today. Again, completely understand that you're in session, you've got families, etc. going on, and we really appreciate you making time to join us today and spend a few minutes of your time with us this evening as well. So a few elements of housekeeping as we move into this second part of our program, where we'll basically be providing each of the Maryland legislative representatives who are with us here today an opportunity to address the community members who have joined the Zoom call today. So as we go through, again, we have a great amount of RSVPs, folks, representatives and senators, the delegates who have joined us today, roughly about 50 to 60 or so. So in order to keep things moving in an orderly fashion, making sure we provide everyone enough time, as much as possible, we'd love for everyone to try to keep your comments to roughly about a minute or so. Again, just trying to make sure we get through everybody. Introduce yourself, the district you represent, any additional comments you'd like to make, as well as specifically if there's anything you could address on the 8 or 9 bills that were highlighted by both Huzaifa and Ruqayya. Apologies in advance if I mispronounce any names as I call you to speak next. Hopefully you'll understand. Coming from our community, we see that a lot with our names. So hopefully I'll do my best to make sure I get everyone's names correct as well. For the community members who are joining us as our representatives are speaking, I also want to encourage everyone to enter questions that you'd like to ask in the Q&A, not in the chat, but in the Q&A. And time permitting, at the very end of the program, we'll try and address, 2, 3, 4 questions, depending on the time that we have available. And to our representatives who are joining us, our Maryland State Senators and legislators, hopefully we've done a good job of making sure we've promoted you to a panelist. If we have not done so, please reach out via the chat, and one of us will make sure that we promote you to a panelist so that we can make sure we hear your voice today. So with that, we'll get started. And I believe we have 2 specific video submissions for 2 of our representatives who are not able to join us in person, but did want to address the crowd. So the first video will be from House Speaker Adrian Jones. So if we could cue up that video, please.
I think she is muted.
Yeah, Zainab, I believe we don't have the audio. Zainab, if we could maybe rewind and start from the beginning, please.
Oh, sure.
Hi, I'm Speaker Adrian Jones, and I'm pleased to welcome you for this year's virtual Muslim Lobby. Thank you for all your work to advocate for the needs of Muslim communities throughout Maryland. Maryland is known as America, with people from many different walks of life and different backgrounds. Our legislature reflects that. We are working hard to give a voice to everyone. We created the new governor's office of Indian Affairs to fill a critical gap in our state government and help us better serve people. We passed it to our intention to uphold our commitment to never profit on the unnecessary incarceration of immigrants, better protect. We made sure that Maryland's taxpayers could receive critical and this session, the House will continue to advance legislation that will benefit every community and every part of the state by further protecting the rights of juveniles, creating a path to inclusive athletic wear for student athletes, and increasing access to legal counsel for student organizations. I am glad to be part of this year's Muslim Lobby. I look forward to continuing to work with you.
We can't hear.
Okay, apologies for the audio there, everyone. I think that was really more based off of the way the audio was submitted to us. We had tested this out earlier, so unfortunately, I believe it was unfortunately very difficult to hear. But we'll move on to our next video submission, which is from Delegate Brooke Learman.
Greetings. I'm sorry that I can't be with you live this evening, but I'm so thrilled to be with you all and just want to say a huge thank you. I'm Delegate Brooke Learman, and I'm so grateful to you all for the work that you do year in and year out in Annapolis. I've had the pleasure of attending in-person CARE events for Maryland Muslim Lobby Day in the past. I'm sorry I'm virtual right now, but thank you for continuing to advocate. I'm excited to see all of your incredibly important priorities this year, from the Inclusive Athletic Attire Act to the Juvenile Interrogation Protection Act, which I was an original sponsor of, and really excited that Delegate Bartlett is carrying on that legacy, to all of your work on juvenile justice, access to counsel and immigration proceedings, your election law work. Really, really proud and so supportive of all of these initiatives. Please keep in touch. Again, I'm Brooke Learman. I'm a state delegate representing part of Baltimore City, and thrilled to be here with you all tonight to just say thank you, thank you, thank you.
Excellent. Thank you very much to both video submissions from Speaker Jones and Delegate Learman. We'll move on to the rest of our senators and delegates who are with us today. And I want to stress in advance the order that we're calling out is in no particular order. I know a few of our senators or delegates who are with us today may need to leave a bit early. So if you could maybe just indicate that in the chat, and we'll try and make sure we get you, we'll give you your airtime as early as possible. So next, I'd like to ask Delegate Jessica Feldmark to address the crowd.
Assalamu alaikum. Good evening. Thank you all for being here and thank you for your advocacy work. I'm Delegate Jessica Feldmark. I represent District 12, which is parts of Howard and Baltimore counties. I'm very pleased to see your priorities and legislative agenda for the year. Look forward to working with you to get as many of those bills passed as possible, including House Bill 515, the Inclusive Athletic Attire Act, which I am honored to be sponsoring, and want to thank everyone who has already reached out in support of that, and look forward to getting that passed and working with you on the rest of your agenda. Have a great evening. Thanks.
Thank you, Delegate Feldmark. Next, we'll go to Delegate Ann Kaiser.
Hi there. Good evening, everyone. I had to run away from the screen for a moment to get my daughter her stuffed animal. And to be honest, all we're really about is making sure that everyone's family has the comforts and supports to live their lives and to live their lives with all kinds of freedom. So apparently I'm being asked to put on TV right now. So I do have to go. I represent Montgomery County along with Delegate Queen and Lukey. And thank you all. I'm with you on your issues. I have been for years. And I'm proud that we represent 4 to 5 mosques in our district. So thank you all very much.
Thank you very much, Delegate Kaiser. And we very much appreciate your home situation. We're all living it as well. So thank you very much. Next, we will go to Delegate Lily Key. Delegate Key.
Hi, thank you very much. My last name is difficult to pronounce. It's actually pronounced the chi, like the energy inside you. No, just like you said, we're all very used to people pronouncing our names differently. Thank you so much for having us. I am Delegate Lily Chi and proudly represent District 15 in Montgomery County, where we have the highest concentration of Asian Americans, including many Muslim Americans in our district. I also had a distinct honor when I was a community liaison under former county executive Ike Leggett in working with many community leaders from the Muslim community and establishing Montgomery County's tradition of paying cultural tribute to Iftar. It has been a decade in the making, but I thank you for your activism. I often point to the Muslim community's activism and paying back and paying forward to say, this is what every immigrant community should do. This is what every new American community should be. So thank you. This is an important election year. And I want to thank you for your activism, but more importantly, for all you do for the larger community. And I also want to finally say, I want to pay tribute to a dear friend, Tufail Ahmad, who just passed. And he was such a critical force that mentored many of us and encouraged us to do more. So with that, thank you so much. Assalamu alaikum.
Thank you very much, Delegate Chi. Very much again, appreciate your joining us this evening. Next, we will go to Delegate Ann Healy.
Thank you very much. I am Delegate Ann Healy from Prince George's County, District 22. I serve with Senator Pinsky, Delegate Nicole Williams, and Delegate Alonzo Washington in the Prince George's County area, the northern part of Prince George's County. We have several mosques in our district, including a beautiful Turkish mosque that is near one of our high schools, which is enormously large and full of so many opportunities to serve the community. And they're so warm and welcoming. I want to thank everyone here for your participation in this event and all the work that you do, as Delegate Chi said, for the larger community, above and beyond your advocacy. And your advocacy is very important. I support your goals and the legislation that you propose is certainly worthy. And I hope that we can work together more and more as time goes by. And I thank you for your participation, especially in this election year. And I encourage you all to not only to vote, but to get engaged in the political process and turn out to the polls and then register people to vote, all those things that are important so that everyone participates, so that everyone can have a piece of this American system that we hope to share with all our neighbors in the most respectful way possible. Thank you very much. I do have to leave soon too.
No worries. Thank you for your time. Very, very much appreciate it. Next, we will move to Delegate John Carden. Delegate Carden.
Thank you very much. It's an honor to be here with you tonight. And I share the sentiments and thoughts of many of my colleagues and all of my colleagues to say that we really are just trying to improve everybody's quality of life. And we appreciate what you guys do. I will say that I have been fortunate enough to be very involved with many of your community members in my professional life, working from a legal standpoint with many of your community members, and it has really been an honor and a pleasure to be able to work with so many people and setting up businesses and helping represent interests that are important to you. I look forward to continuing to do that with you from a political perspective as well. And I would encourage you to look at House Bill 45, which is something that I believe should be a priority of all of ours, to make sure that the panic defense cannot be used for mitigating purposes because of somebody's religion, which is something that I just think is the right thing to do, that we shouldn't allow people to get off the hook from hurting or assaulting people simply because they didn't know that they were Muslim or Jewish or anything of that nature. Again, thank you all very much, and I look forward to working with you in the future.
Thank you very much, Delegate Carden. Next, we will go to Senator Guy Guzone, or Guzone. Hopefully I pronounced that correctly as well. Senator. Is Senator on? Okay, we'll come back to the Senator. Delegate Vanessa Atterbury. All right, next let's go to Delegate Charlotte Crutchfield. How about Delegate Sandy Bartlett?
Thank you. Thank you for the introduction. Thank you for being here tonight. This is great to be here for Muslim Day. And I have to say, I have gotten to see Zainab quite a bit. She's been a wonderful advocate down here with our various rallies in support of the Child Interrogation Protection Act. I also want to say thank you for including me in your advocacy and all the bills that you all work on. I'll just tell you a quick tip, but I was talking to someone today, and she said that she said something about the life of an advocate. And I said, watch out, that's how I got here. So so just know that, you know, I hope to see some of you all in elected office if that is your aspiration, but this is how it starts. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Delegate Bartlett. Do we have Senator Catherine Klausmeier with us? Okay, why don't we go with Ms. Julie Carr.
Good evening, everyone. This is Delegate Julie Polakovich Carr. I'm proud to be one of the delegates for Rockville and Gaithersburg, District 17 in central Montgomery County. Pleasure to be with you this evening. And it looks like a great agenda that you all are working on for this year. And just want to thank you for your advocacy. Especially excited to see your work around elections reforms and ensuring that voters have access and are having their votes counted. I'll flag that one of the issues that I'm working on this session with Senator Jeff Waldstreicher is around discrimination in housing and ensuring that immigrants are not being subject to discrimination when they're trying to, say, rent an apartment or discrimination from their landlord. And I would love to have your support for that legislation as well. But thanks for having me here tonight.
Thank you very much, Delegate Carr. Let's next go with Delegate Leslie Lopez.
Thank you, Asif, and good evening, everyone. Thank you for including me tonight. My name is Delegate Leslie Lopez, and this is Graham, who doesn't really sleep unless you hold him. So I apologize if I'm making anyone seasick by rocking back and forth. But I represent District 39, which is in the upper part of Montgomery County, and I saw in the chat that we have quite a few D39 folks here, so thank you for joining us tonight. My district includes the mosque in Germantown, and then right across the street on Woodfield is the Islamic Center of Maryland. And so we can see it from our district, and the center definitely serves the people in our district very well. And I want to give a particular shout out to Adila, who I think is here still. She is such a blessing and an asset to our community, doing all the outreach through the Islamic Center. So thank you very much for that. I serve on the Judiciary Committee. I think 4 of the 8 bills that I saw posted go through our committee. So super excited to be voting on those bills. I think I'm a co-sponsor on a handful of them, and I will look forward to encouraging my colleagues in the General Assembly to be voting for them as well. So thanks for their having us.
Sorry, thank you very much. Next, we will go to Senator Will Smith.
Hey, good evening, everyone. Thank you for the invitation, and thank you for your presentation and for your advocacy. First, just want to say thank you to the CARE Office of Maryland, the United Maryland Muslim Council, the Prince George's Muslim Council. I'm tremendously supportive of your agenda. Look forward to working with our friends and colleagues in the House of Delegates. I represent District 20, which is Silver Spring and Tacoma Park, and I'm chair of the Judicial Proceedings Committee. And as Delegate Lopez mentioned, a number of your priorities come through our committee. And I just want to say that I'm tremendously supportive and looking forward to working with all of you. One of the things I always talk about the most important thing about running for office and occupying this space is that you have the power to convene, to bring more people to the table to solve problems from across the state, from across the political spectrum, from different ethnicities, races, and religions. So just really excited to be in partnership with you tonight, and just thank you for all of your advocacy.
Thank you very much, Senator Smith. Next, we will go with Senator Ronald Young. Senator Young.
Yes, thank you and good evening. We have a growing Muslim community in Frederick, a lot of very involved people in the community, very supportive of what we're doing, growing very much. I'm really pleased to see so many young people on here tonight. This is my last session in the Senate. I won my first election 53 years ago. So it's time for younger people like you to step forward in our districts and hopefully run and contribute the best you can. I support your agenda. I've watched the bills that you brought up, and I will certainly be there for you as they come. I'm going to have to duck shortly too. Delegate Lewis Young hasn't been, Karen Lewis Young hasn't been brought up yet, but she wanted me to tell you in case she wasn't, that she's there and is supportive also. So thank you very much for having me, and good luck.
Thank you very much, Senator. I will move next to Delegate Harry Bandari, please. Delegate Bandari.
Thank you, Kier, for the wonderful event. I represent District 8, Baltimore County. I'm so pleased to see so many young minds. Actually, you are not only predicting our future, but actually creating it. The soul of democracy is a strong civil society, a social consensus, a widespread education. So we also do have AAPI caucus. Please reach out to us. I really like your wonderful agenda. And we offer a scholarship as well. Every delegates and senator, please reach out to your delegates and senator, and please visit Annapolis. And it's great to see, and wish you all the best for this wonderful program.
Thank you very much, Delegate. Next, I will call upon, hold on one second, sorry. Senator Charles Sydnor. Senator Sydnor.
Good evening, everyone. Senator Charles Sidnord, District 44, which covers both Baltimore City and Baltimore County. I see my colleagues from District 44B on the line as well. And I will say that 44 is a home of a number of mosques, one of the largest being the Islamic Society of Baltimore, as well as the home of your CARE Maryland office. And as a number of my colleagues have said who serve on JPR as well as judiciary, a number of the bills that you all have presented are bills that actually some that we've already heard and began voting on, and certainly things that I am supportive of. Wanted to reach out to Ms. Chowdhury and say I left a message for you, so we need to speak, but certainly supportive, and thank you for having this evening and having us here.
Thank you very much. I will next call upon Delegate Rachel Jones, please. Delegate Jones. She had to leave. Maybe we didn't get to her in time. Okay, we'll come back. Delegate Jazz Lewis, please. Delegate Lewis.
Sure thing. Thank you for having me on. I'm happy to be here with CARE, and I'm partial to the Prince George's Muslim Council. I spent a lot of time with them. The northern part of my district is a fairly large Turkish center. We thank them for investing in gorgeous Prince George's County. I'm happy to be here and see that you all are organizing and getting folks active. I'm also partial to one of them is my bill, focus on diverse asset managers and making sure that all of us do our part to expand equity and inclusion in all parts of state government. I think it's critically important. I think particularly right now, as we see the threats to democracy on Capitol Hill, we need to double down here in the state and making sure that we strengthen those protections, particularly as it relates to elections, but also in our justice system and much more. So I'm happy to be here. I'll continue to be a partner. And anything you need of me, y'all know how to reach me. And have a great evening. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Delegate Lewis. Next, I will call upon Senator Katie Fry Hester, please. Senator Hester.
Hey, I think you might actually be talking about me. I'm joining on Senator Hester's behalf because she's still hearing bills in the Education, Health, and Environmental Affairs Committee. And we didn't have specific bills ours to pitch, but we did want to throw a shout out to the folks at Darul Pakwa. I think I saw Rizwan Siddiqui on the line earlier. And Senator Hester was very happy to visit them last year while they were in the middle of a donation drive for Afghan refugees, which I believe had such a positive and overwhelmingly showing of support that they had to pause their donations. So we wanted to sort of do the same thing that other legislators are doing. Our office is always open, even virtually, if you require assistance with unemployment, driver's licenses, easy pass, so on and so forth. We're also doing our scholarship, which closes, I believe, on April 15th. If any of you have kids that are attending college. But that is all we have for tonight, I believe.
Thank you very much. Very much appreciate that. We will next call upon Delegate Nicole Williams, please. Delegate Williams.
Assalamu alaikum, everybody. I'm not Delegate Nicole Williams. I'm Delegate Nicole Williams, Chief of Staff. Unfortunately, she was not able to make it tonight because committee, and she had another engagement. So she sent me here in her place. My name is Iman Imran, and I'm her Chief of Staff. I think I mentioned that. She sends her regards and she wishes she could be here tonight. Delegate Williams represents District 22, which is Prince George's County, along with Delegate Healy and Delegate Washington. Forgive me if I'm missing any delegate or senator. So our office is actually sponsoring House Bill 114, which is the Access to Counsel and Immigration Proceedings program. And we had a bill hearing on it early February. Alhamdulillah for everything. And we just want to say thank you for having us and inviting us. And we appreciate the Muslim community. And I guess since I was a part of CARE about 2 years ago. So thank you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate your time and you're representing here as well. We will next move on to Delegate Gabriel Acevedo.
Good evening, and thank you so very much to all the organizers of this evening's Lobby Day. Really good to be here. As was mentioned, Delegate Gabriel Acevedo, proud to represent District 39 out in Montgomery County, which is the northwestern part of our county. Just want to also shout out the Islamic Society of Germantown that does amazing work both in District 39 and across Montgomery County. And it's really good to be to continue to be a partner with them. And it's good to be here this evening with each and every one of you all to learn about your priorities and how I, as well as my colleagues, can show up in solidarity and continue to build a Maryland where all Muslims feel as though they're included. And this is a safe and welcoming place for everyone. And so appreciate your advocacy. Thank you for all that you do, and you know how to reach me if I or my office can be of help. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Delegate Acevedo. I will next call upon Delegate Jocelyn Peña-Melnick, please.
Thank you. Thank you so much. It is an honor to be here with you today. I want to thank you for the work you do. I am the Vice Chair of the Health and Government Operations Committee and the Chair of the Public Health Committee. I represent District 21, which is Prince George's in Anne Arundel County. I have had a beautiful relationship with the Muslim community over the years. We organized the first blood drive many years ago. I'm dating myself, and also I helped get the first Muslim on the Board of Morticians. So I appreciate your advocacy, your relationship, and your partnership. This year, I have a couple bills that you're supporting. One of them is a bill that expands access to Medicaid for undocumented pregnant women, and also one that allows undocumented immigrants to buy insurance off the exchange. So thank you so much for your voice. It really matters, and I'm really grateful. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Delegate Peña-Melnick. I will next call upon Delegate Lorig Charkudian, please.
Thank you very much. Good evening, everyone. Thanks for inviting me and thanks for hosting this. And I hope very soon it will be in person. I represent District 20 in Montgomery County, Silver Spring, Tacoma Park, White Oak area. And I work on a number of issues. One of the issues I work on is food systems and food security. And I just want to add to the shout out and the thank yous to the Muslim community in several parts of Montgomery County who really did a tremendous job making sure and continue to do a tremendous job making sure that everyone is fed. And I've had a chance to join folks at some of the food distributions and those events, as well as vaccination clinics and so on. So look forward to continuing to work in partnership on those issues. And I'm 100% behind the bills we saw earlier and co-sponsor on several of them. So I'm really grateful for your advocacy and look forward to continuing to work with you. And I put my email in the chat earlier. I see that some of my constituents are here. Excited to see folks and we'll be in touch.
Thank you very much, Delegate Charkudian. We'll next move to Delegate Pat Young, please. Delegate Young.
Assalamu alaikum and good evening. Thank you very much for inviting us and for giving us all an opportunity to address folks. I'm Delegate Pat Young, representing District 44B on the southwest side of Baltimore County. I'm also the chair of the Baltimore County delegation. My senator mentioned earlier, Senator Sidnor, that we are lucky enough to have the Islamic Society of Baltimore in our districts. And the relationship that I've had with them, I know that he's had with them, as well as Delegate Sheila Ruth, has been amazing. This is a continuation of that relationship, one of advocacy, not just through social interaction, but also faith interaction, as well as just pulling people together to talk about how you can be an advocate and a role that we can play in your community and be supportive of you. was very informative tonight. I appreciate the opportunity to speak, as well as get the copy of your agenda, which now I have a hard copy of and be able to review myself outside of this. So thank you very much and enjoy your evening.
Thank you very much. Very much appreciate it. And I want to just make sure we recognize that several of our lawmakers, they do have limited time. So to the best degree we can, we are trying to make sure we facilitate those who do need to drop. I'm going to actually next move to two different delegates, actually, and I will call up both of them are from my district, District 14. Hopefully they're still on, Delegate Eric Lutke. I know he had to drop. I'm not sure if he ended up dropping or not. Okay, Delegate Pam Queen.
Hi, thanks. Good to see everyone. And so as mentioned, I am Delegate Pam Queen. We're from the east side of Montgomery County. I serve with Delegate Lukey, who had to drop off, Delegate Ann Kaiser, who you heard from earlier, and Senator Craig Zucker. We represent parts of Silver Spring, Burtonsville, Spencerville that have mini mosques. And so we are really glad to see you here and continue to listen to the issues that you have. I'm really excited about the election laws that you're advocating for, because we know it's important to have representation with your voice, and voting is one of those important pieces to do that. So I'm glad to see that sort of advocacy happening amongst the Muslim community. And I also am very supportive of all the bills, but I really wanted to highlight the bill about expanding, HB 47, about expanding American history. We know how important that is to make sure that the stories of the many people who contribute to this country are heard in a truthful and a full experience. So we appreciate that, and we're glad to have you here, and we're certainly here to support you in any ways that we can get that bills passed and make sure your voice is heard. So thank you for your advocacy, and thank you for being here.
Thank you so much, Delegate Queen. Very much appreciate your time. I will next call upon Delegate Sheila Ruth. Delegate Ruth.
Good evening. Assalamu alaikum. I represent District 44B in Western Baltimore County, Catonsville, Woodlawn area. And as my colleagues have already mentioned, we're honored to have the Islamic Society of Baltimore in our district, and other mosques, and a large Muslim community. Greetings to any District 44B constituents who are here. I saw Asif Khan in the chat, and if there's anybody else from District 44B, I greet you also. I'm happy to support your priorities. These are important priorities. I'm co-sponsors on some of them, including the Inclusive Athletic Attire Act. As we watch the Olympics right now, it's a reminder that athletics are international, and everybody should be able to participate in athletics. And so I think this is an important bill. I also feel very strongly about the juvenile justice bills, because children's brains don't fully develop until around age 25. And, in no way should we be treating them as adults. It's not right. So thank you so much for the invitation, and I'm honored to be here.
Thank you very much, Delegate Ruth. I will next call upon Delegate Mike Rogers. Delegate Rogers.
Good evening. Assalamu alaikum. I am Delegate Mike Rogers. I represent Legislative District 32, Northern and Anne Arundel County, along with my colleagues, Delegate Sandy Bartlett, who you heard from earlier, Delegate Mark Chang, and Senator Pam Beidel. So very happy to be with you all this evening. I do support your legislative priorities, and I look forward to working with you the rest of the session, and just thank you so much for your advocacy.
Thank you very much, Delegate Rogers. I will next call upon Delegate Emily Sherry.
Hi, everyone. I'm Delegate Emily Shetty. I represent District 18 in Montgomery County, which is Kensington, Garrett Park, Chevy Chase, Wheaton and a little bit of Silver Spring. It's lovely to be here with you all. Thank you for inviting us to hear from you and to speak with you. I serve on the House Judiciary Committee. I see some friendly faces here who have come to testify and share thoughts on bills before us. I don't believe there's a single one that you've raised that I have felt any differently. I'm grateful for your advocacy and for sharing your thoughts and testimony with us. It is the absolute number one most important thing you can do as advocates is contacting your lawmakers and sharing your thoughts and stories and why you think a bill is important. So thank you for your advocacy. Thank you for organizing this event. I look forward to partnering with you to help pass some of those bills that you had before us. Thank you.
Thank you, Delegate Shetty. Very much appreciate your time as well. I will next call upon Delegate Faye Howell, please.
Assalamu alaikum. Good evening. My name is Delegate Faye Howell. I am from District 24, and my district is in Prince George's County from Bowie to Suitland. And I'm sure that I have a lot of constituents on right now. I love your agenda. I'm also on the Prince George's County Democratic Central Committee. So we always want to get out the vote. We want to educate our users. And I appreciate that you all showed people how to know what district that they're in. That was a good thing for everybody. I am newly appointed, so I just came here in December. I am a co-sponsor on some of these bills, but I'm on the Judiciary Committee, so I know that I'll be voting on most of these bills. I'm on another Zoom, and I'm on to speak in a few minutes, but I just wanted to say thank you so much. I'm looking forward to working with you all in the future. And I just want to say to my brother who is on here, Assalamu alaikum to my brother Salim Abdul Mateen. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Delegate Howell. Very much appreciate your words here as well. I believe we may have heard from a representative before, but is Delegate Katie Fry Hester with us now?
Hello, can you guys hear me?
Yes, go ahead, please.
Great. I'm sorry I missed you earlier.
Oh, Senator Hester, my apologies.
Yeah, it's quite all right. I just wanted to say, hello and thank you for being here today. Assalamu alaikum. I want to shout out to Rizwan Siddiqui. Thank you for always including me at Dar El Tasqua. It's always been wonderful to go there and see how much good work the community is doing in Howard County there. I had the pleasure to visit this year, and right after they did a huge food drive. So it's really a blessing to have in the community. I'm thankful that you all shared your agenda with us, and we'll be looking through that very carefully to support you wherever we can. And the thing I wanted to share with you all this year is not really on the agenda, but I've been working so hard as co-chair of the cybersecurity, the Joint Council on Cybersecurity, IT and Biotechnology, to really do everything I can to keep your personal data that the state has safe. So, we probably heard that the Maryland Department of Health was attacked, and so far it doesn't look like that information has been sold anywhere. And so that's a good thing. But there's more that we can do at the state level and at the local level to keep your data safe. So just want to share that with you. And if there's anything that our office can do to support you, any help with a state agency, please reach out. You spoke to Brandon earlier, and we'll be happy to support you. And Senator Pinsky is here with me, so I'm just going to give him the computer. Hold on 2 seconds.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you. I was unable to log in, so my good colleague who serves on my committee is sharing her screen. So I'm not Katie Fry Hester. I'm State Senator Paul Pinsky. I chair the Education, Health, Environmental Committee and represent Lanham, Hyattsville, Greenbelt, Riverdale, et cetera. And we have a growing Muslim population in the Lanham area, which I'm very proud to represent. Look, our district is committed to diversity in all of race, religion, gender, you name it. We want to represent the broad public, and we're doing that here in Annapolis, and we remain committed to that and available to help in any way to support the Muslim community. As citizen members, when people have concerns, please, they should feel free and be encouraged to approach our office. Today, we had a 4.5-hour meeting on climate change. It's an important issue facing all of us with more severe storms and flooding, and not just here in Maryland, but all over the globe. And it's affecting everyone. It's affecting food sources and water and a lot of things. And we here in Maryland want to be in the forefront of that, to be a leader not only in the United States, but in the world. So I thank you for what you do and stand ready to support you in any way I can. Thank you very much.
Senator Pinsky, Senator Hester, again, as with everyone else, we very much appreciate you making time to come and be with us and to address us this evening. So thank you very much.
Greatly appreciated by both of us. Thank you.
Thank you. I believe at this moment, we have gone through all that had either RSVP'd or that we've recognized are here with us on the Zoom call today. If we've missed anyone, we want to give this an opportunity to, and apologies in advance for maybe not calling you out by name, but if there's anyone in terms of a delegate or state senator that is with us that we did not yet call, please feel free to unmute yourself, introduce yourself, and address the audience, please. Okay, we still have some time, so we'll make sure we provide that opportunity before we close, just to make sure we don't miss anyone. I am now going to go back and see, I believe we had a few questions that have come up that we'd like to ask the delegates and the senators that are still with us today. Let me go back and check and see what we have. So if you don't mind, just bear with us for like about 15 seconds until we get our bearings on the questions here. So one moment, please. Okay, so some general questions that we've received, not just from our youth, I should make note of, but also just from a general public perspective is, you know, one of the things that we as a community, as Muslims in Maryland, have been getting a little bit better with, but we are a little bit behind in, is getting members of our own community to be represented, you know, in the Maryland State Legislature as a delegate or as a state senator. And I guess I'll open it up in a general sense, and if necessary, we maybe will call on one or two individuals to maybe help answer, but we'd love to get some advice as to how to best begin our engagement and to maybe run for office. What are some initial words of advice that you may have for anyone in our community who is looking to get more involved from a civic engagement perspective and be part of the Maryland legislative branch?
Asif, before you start, I think Delegate Karen Young was not called upon. She's here, so can we call her?
Absolutely. Thank you for making that mention, Rizwan. Ms. Young, please go ahead.
Thank you. I'm Delegate Karen Lewis Young from Frederick County. I represent District 3A, and I sit on the Health and Government Operations Committee. I have put forward many bills on health equity, health access, health affordability. I have long worked with the Frederick Muslim community since the time I was an alderwoman with the city of Frederick, working with the Frederick County Muslim Council. And since I came on precisely at the time that you asked your question, I'll give you my answer. Way back way back in my former life, when I was in community banking, I got very active in the community, and I was probably a volunteer or on the board of at least a dozen organizations. So from volunteering, I got to know the community well and the community leaders. And then I saw at a certain point, to affect significant change, you needed to do it at the policy level, that you could only raise so much money for a community entity. But if you were going to make long-term sustainable change, policy was the best route. So in 2009, while I was still very active in the community, I decided to run for the Board of Aldermen, and now you're seeing me in the second term of my second career. Thank you.
Fantastic. Very much appreciate those great words of wisdom and advice based off of your experience. Again, we can gain a lot from the experiences of all of you who are obviously serving as delegates and state senators. So thank you for your response, Delegate Young. Is there anyone else maybe, again, I want to hesitate to calling out any specific delegates or senators, but we'd love to hear from, any of you. Feel free to just unmute yourself and, provide, again, whether it's your own experience or, general words of advice on, how to either run for office, join a campaign, anything of that nature that will, help elevate our community and the causes that we'd like to represent as well.
Thank you. Could I respond to that question?
Absolutely, please, Delegate.
Yeah, absolutely. The first most important thing is believing in yourself. That come out of that fear. Instruction is important. If you don't know the system, you don't know how to act. Instruction, number one, is important. That can engage and that can inspire. I'm also an immigrant. I came in 2005 and I ran in District 8. And the minority population is less than 6%. So the character is important, the commitment is important, and confidence is important. So believe in yourself, number one. It doesn't matter what other people think about you. It matters what you think about yourself. If you think positive about yourself, if you believe in it yourself, you can do it. And another important thing is this country has given us a tremendous opportunity. Try to find a way how we can give back to the community. And you will have that sense of belongings and that positive thinking is number one. Thank you.
Thank you, Delegate Bhandari. I think that fabulous response, again, very helpful to all of us on the call today. Is there anyone else who'd like to maybe provide a response to that general question of how to best get more involved? All right, I'm going back to our questions and answers, and I think there's one or two that were answered earlier, or that were asked earlier in the Q&A that have been responded to. If there's anyone else who has a question, please make sure you enter it into the Q&A. I'm going to do a quick check one more time to see if we had missed any of our delegates or state senators who may have joined us a bit late. And I believe we've given everyone a
That's what I
chance.
think Delegate Howell had something she wanted to say.
Perfect. Please, Delegate Howell.
Yes, thank you. Again, I said my name is Faye Howell, and to be honest, I just wanted to talk to the young people who are out there wanting to be a delegate or a senator or just move forward. Actually, I did not intend to be a delegate. I was just out in the community, giving back, working with people, trying to provide opportunities for people to move ahead. And that's what really got people to even notice me, because I was out giving back. So I would say that one of the best things you can do is first educate yourself on the House and Senate and things like that, but from the heart, give back to try to help your community. And it'll take you far, because my intention was not to be a delegate, but now that I'm here, I'm glad. I see that I can continue to help people, and I want to move on. So thank you. I appreciate the time.
Thank you, Delegate Fahal. Appreciate that response. Again, very, very heartfelt. And these heartfelt responses is really what make the most lasting impression for many of us who may be considering, getting involved at a higher level in terms of community and civic engagement. So thank you again. Let me just solicit one more time if there are any other additional questions that any of our community members or attendees would like to ask any of our delegates or state senators.
Asif, there is a question in Q&A, but that's more related to international issues, which are kind of not directly related with the state. So
correct.
You might want to just explain that a little bit.
I'm not seeing that on my end here.
I think there was a question about some fight or war going on in Yemen. And since this is more Congress mandate to look into international issues, I think state delegates and senators mostly stay with the local issue. There are some issues which go a little beyond the borders. That's why our focus today had been more local issues in the community here, how we can help with that. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Zainab, you were saying something?
I think that Delegate Williams, Chief of Staff Iman, had a couple pieces of advice and suggestions she wanted to share. Iman, the floor is yours if you'd like to share anything.
Sure, thank you. Being a Muslim chief of staff, it's difficult sometimes, and kind of getting to this level, it took a lot of hard work for me. I started off as an intern in the MGA. I'm sorry, that's my cat. I started off as an intern back in 2019. And I stayed with that office for about a year, and then I actually started working for CARE and taking care of their legislation. So for me, this is stuff that I never thought I would end up doing. I never thought I'd get to the level of chief. You kind of think you're going to be an intern, and then you're going to leave, get your degree, and then you're going to settle for some job that you're not a huge fan of. Alhamdulillah, I got a job that I love. So my biggest piece of advice is there's a seat for you at the table. And it might not look like there's a seat for you at the table, but there is one. And, some people are incredibly welcoming and are willing to take a chance on you. So if you keep, and I think Delegate Bandari said it perfectly, believe in yourself. As cliche as it sounds, it'll get you farther than you think it will. And yeah, that's my little token as someone who's gone through that experience. So.
And Iman, I just want to say, as your former supervisor, with you being a former intern, it is such an honor and such a privilege to see you in this space and watching you really kind of come into yourself and following your dream, even though there are challenges along the way. And I hope that other young people who find themselves in similar situations, who are passionate about politics, but have always sort of felt fearful or afraid of getting involved, that they take from your experience and your knowledge to sort of take that initiative and also pursue their passion. So good luck and keep up the great work.
Thank you.
Brother Asif, I see two people have hands up, Gabriel. And
we'll be calling on those. We'll be calling those next. So Delegate Gabriel Acevedo, with your hand up. Appreciate you offering some words of wisdom here. Delegate Acevedo.
Yeah, thanks so much. I was two things. One is to the earlier question about what's going on in Yemen. I'll just add that while foreign policy is certainly not within the remit of state legislatures, that there are certainly creative ways that we can ensure that we're not supporting human rights abuses. I'll just plug one bill that I've worked with CARE Maryland on, and I've been pretty proud of that. And that's on ensuring that the way the Rohingya have been treated and continue to be treated, ensuring that we as a state, that we are not investing dollars and we're not putting our dollars anywhere that promotes the kind of mistreatment of Rohingya people. And I think that while there is very little that we can do in the space of foreign policy, there's still stuff we can do as a state to ensure that where our tax dollars are invested, where they're spent, that they're not promoting the violations of human rights and the mistreatment of people, such as the example of the Rohingya people. And I think we can certainly find creative ways to show solidarity. I'll also add, just to piggyback off of the comments mentioned earlier about, what Muslims, particularly youth, can do more. I'll just say that we have to normalize supporting and pouring back into Muslim youth, pouring and supporting Muslim women, but more generally, just supporting the Muslim community. I think America does a really good job of otherizing communities. And the Muslim community is no different. And I think we just need to normalize Muslims in power, and representing us. And each and every one of us have to really take a commitment to support and pour into to Muslims who are doing the work and in our communities and may be interested in serving. So thank you.
Fabulous. Thank you again, Dr. Delegate Acevedo. Excellent response. And again, like your colleagues here, some great words of wisdom for our community here. I am next going to ask our CARE National Executive Director, Nihad Awad, to address the attendees. So Mr. Nihad Awad, please.
Thank you very much. Although I live in Maryland, I live in Virginia, my heart is in Maryland today. This is very impressive and very powerful representation from all, across the state of Maryland, and also the fact that elected officials, whether senators and delegates, have really recognized the presence and contribution of the American Muslim community in Maryland is really a testimony to all of them, but also to the organizers, especially the young ones. One important issue I would like to see is I hope that Maryland lawmakers will revise the law that is on the books, which is the anti-BDS laws. The right to boycott is an American right. The right to boycott companies or regimes or states around the world is an American First Amendment right. The state of Maryland, unfortunately, legislated a law that prevents contractors for the state or the cities to obtain contracts from the government if they do not pledge to not to boycott the state of Israel. It is an American issue, and I believe that the Muslim community is not alone in this. The right to boycott is a fundamental free speech exercise. Americans, when they joined their African-American brothers and sisters and the anti-apartheid movement, they succeeded to put pressure on the South African regime that was for so long discriminating against Africans in their home country. And I believe the anti-BDS law in Maryland is unconstitutional, is questionable. And I hope that next time, if not now, should be on the agenda to revise it. Our organization has been fighting in court. We won a few cases in the state of Texas, in Georgia, and also we have a case in Maryland. Saqib Ali, who was a former delegate, was prevented from taking a contract with the government because he refused to sign a pledge not to boycott a foreign state because they discriminate against the indigenous population. So this is something even should not be, for debate. But the fact that somehow it has been legislated, it really shows that we have a long way to go to protect the First Amendment's right for all Americans, including Muslims in the state of Maryland.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Brother Nahan, for raising that topic. And that is definitely something I think that's been on the radar of all Marylanders who are concerned about free speech, First Amendment free speech rights, but also the human rights violations that are occurring all around the world, whether it be in Israel or in China, Myanmar, so many different populations who are being persecuted. And so it's absolutely incumbent upon our communities, especially, to collectively raise our voice and be the voice of conscience. And our lawmakers have the ability and the platform to be able to help enact change in Annapolis. Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. Dr. King said it more eloquently than I think any of us can say it. And it's a reminder that we have to continue pushing that needle on that issue and encouraging our communities to raise their voices and reach out to lawmakers on this and other human rights issues that impact all of us globally and here at home as well.
Zainab, if I could just please add on to that, I just want to make sure everybody understands that there's plenty of Christian Palestinians. Bethlehem was a Christian city. It's under occupation. Actually, it has a huge wall around it so that the people who live in Bethlehem don't have easy access even to their own land. So we're a Muslim group here, and we're obviously advocating for human rights of Palestinians, but not because they're Muslim, but because there's Muslims and Christians that are Palestinian. We want to advocate for for the whole group.
Absolutely.
It's also worth noting on that point, Ilhan, that there was a recent report published by Amnesty International that was very eye-opening. And when we see these national and international NGOs and human rights organizations raising awareness about the human rights injustices that are occurring around the world, then it compels us as Muslims who are obligated by our faith to speak up for justice, regardless of which community it's against, that we be the voice of conscience and we lead that change. So thank you, Brother Nahan, for raising that point. Asif, I'll hand it back to you.
No worries. I think with that, and I appreciate everyone's comments here, we will move towards concluding the program. I did see a brief notice from Delegate Ben Brooks, who appears to have joined, but appears to have video or audio issues at the moment. So I wanted to just briefly call out and see if Delegate Brooks was able to address his video or audio issues.
Please be recognized. I think he cannot access the.
Apologies for those technical difficulties.
Okay, that's okay. Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, you're there. All right, Mr. Brooks, go ahead.
Yes, yeah, thank you, thank you. I just wanted to thank for the invite. I had another obligation tonight. That's why I came in early, then I had to leave, but I'm back now. So I really appreciate the invite, and I think I've been listening to some of the questions and whatnot earlier from some of my colleagues, and I think what you're putting on here is great, and we've got to support your community and all the great things that you do for the state of Maryland. So I just wanted to note that.
Thank you for joining us earlier and for coming back to us as well, Delegate Brooks. So again, very much appreciate everyone making their time and the effort as well. So I think with that, we will move to conclude the program. Again, I very much appreciate all of our state senators, state delegates, all of our attendees who joined us here this evening as well for our 2022 Maryland Muslim Lobby Day. Again, appreciate everyone's time. Please do I'll make a call out of action, if you will, to our state senators and delegates to please, we'll send out the information, but please take a look at the specific bills that we had highlighted as part of our program today. We'd love to continue this engagement, get your support and move these bills forward. So with that, we will conclude with a closing dua, and my apologies in advance, but I hope he is still, yes, he's still with us. Mr. Nahadawad, would you be kind enough, please, sir, to provide us with the closing dua?
Okay, thank you. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. In the name of God, the compassionate, the merciful. We thank God Almighty for gathering us tonight, for granting us the health and time and opportunity to meet and speak and counsel each other in good. We ask God Almighty to make us always the voice for the voiceless and to speak truth to power. We ask God Almighty to save our country, our society, our families, and our world. We thank our elected officials and we ask God to keep them strong on the right path to promote justice, equality, freedom for all. Amen. Thank you.
Amen. Amen.
Yeah.
Thank you once again, everyone. Have a wonderful rest of your evening, and you'll be hearing from us soon. Thank you again. Appreciate it. I'll appreciate everyone's time.
I promise I'll go back and watch everything, okay?
No problem. No problem.
Okay.
Assalamu alaikum and good
everyone.
evening, everyone.
Assalamu alaikum.
All
Good
righty.
evening.
Yeah.